In a rapidly shifting society, now more than ever, it is essential to stay grounded. Balance is key, but harmony is better. Here, we provide the keys to tap into the divine masculine without sacrificing the divine feminine, because confusion not transmuted becomes confusion transferred.
This is Divine Masculine Activated, a weekly Tuesday evening tap-in brought to you by Mastermind Connect and curated by the good brothers J.D. Weatherspoon and Courtney Grange. We invite you to grab your activation method of choice, get comfortable, take a deep breath, and bring your whole self into this space.
What up, what up, what up?
Like we always do at this time. Peace and love. Here we go. Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Tincture Tuesday. You got your activation method of choice, Margarita Tuesday. Thank you. What kind of margarita you sipping on?
A margarita.
I mean, like what kind of tequila?
So it's called Agave Azul. That's what they had on sale at Pat's. Shout out to Pat's Liquor Store. Listen, man, it's a local Del Rey staple. But anyways,
we here. Yeah,
Cynthia's
I got my
already
good juice today.
What is
Cynthia,
it?
what's going on?
So we here to talk about you today.
That's what it seemed like. It's like, nah, I'm ready. I think we're gonna have a good time with this one. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of Divine Masculine Activated. I am burping Courtney Grange. He is that way. And we are here to.
Let's go. Come on, Burpee.
We are here to bring you another episode, another edition of the Divine Masculine Activated. And this week's episode is very personal for me, like JD, the good brother, was saying, because we're going to talk about me a little bit. And so before we get into that, as always, just giving you all our quick banners to always remember. The Divine Masculine Activated is the ability to activate your masculine energy without sacrificing your feminine energy. Why is that important, good brother?
It's important because our nurturing as men has taught us that anything feminine is reserved for women, and masculinity is about being hard, forceful, and choosing logic over everything. We created this because we wanted to unpack all that, right? Specifically, everything we have been taught about masculinity, and also reshape how we think about femininity. So, why should you care? Let the ball guy tell you.
Well, today you should care because in this episode of DMA, we will be exploring my personal principle of community building I call the principle of 70-20-10, and how development of my masculine and feminine energy and the balance between them things transformed me from a self-centered person to a self-considerate person. A great little word that the good brother came up with this week that I very, very much connected to and enjoyed.
Yeah, so self-considerate, I mean, like, I showed you the word, but I'm going to let you explain what it is because you just said it.
So what we were looking at to kind of shape the container, as we always say for this episode, was what was a word that embodied putting yourself first while also being able to consider others, right? So like self-centered didn't really fit because that has a certain connotation that doesn't necessarily swing to the positive. And then all the other self like words didn't work either because they weren't considerate enough. So JD was like, well, what about self-considerate? Like, yeah, that actually is perfect for what we're going to get into today.
Specifically,
how to be self.
Google told me, and I was like, yo, what about this one?
The Google guys strike again. And they
listen, man, my Awa Pele
dictates.
I got to tell you what happened for real. So
you said what happened?
Say Awa Pele dictates. I got to let you know the truth. So I can't be over here.
Because your karma is your karma, and you want to keep it that way.
Anyways,
So dropping
so
into it real quick.
like all good stories, we're gonna start this one at the beginning.
Yeah,
Denise,
yeah.
hello.
Hey Denise. Hey Candace, what's going on? Thank y'all for coming in as always. So for me, right, this principle of 70-20-10, it's been with me for a long time. And most people that have experienced me, like you've seen it show up, you probably just didn't know what was going on. And it starts from really being raised in an environment where like everything for me was competition based. And the way that you won the competition was by having a superior state of mind, right? Like this was literally the thing my stepfather would say in my house. I always have a superior state of mind. And so at any moment, it was about mentally outmaneuvering him or getting subdued by him. In addition to the fact that, like, just coming up in any given area of these United States of America as a young black man, like you're gonna struggle to find yourself, right? Whether it's the community's fault, your family's fault, your fault, society's fault, something's gonna make it more challenging for us. We know all the backstory behind how that happens, right? You add to that the specific place for me when it around where I sit in my family. Eldest grandchild of 29 on my mom's side, 30 something in the middle of my dad's side. But I'm really close to my aunts and uncles, and I'm a lot older than my cousins. So a lot of my life I was spent like just by myself figuring shit out.
You're in
And
that middle
ego
gap.
became that's it. That's that straight J. Cole middle child, right?
Mhm.
I'm little bro and big bro all at once. Um, but for me specifically, it was a space for my ego to take a lot of privilege because who
You
gonna
was the only
check me?
one. You set the
I'm the
precedent.
I'm the baby and I'm the oldest. So who gonna check me for real? And that's a lot of what happened in my life. Nobody checked me. Nobody was really pulling my neck. Nobody was putting me in listen, little homie type situation. And peace GB, what's going on, good brother? I see you jumping in here. And because of that, as an adult, I had a very, very distinct propensity to lead with my ego self, my more self-centered self, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I still had all of the gifts that I put to good use today, right? Like they always say, like I use my powers for good and not for evil. I would say that I use my powers for
Usually you start with
myself.
the equal part first, and then you realize that like that makes messes.
Well, not
We'll get into
not
that in
even
detail on mine, but
that's on you. That's next week on this here at DMA podcast.
we'll
But
make
for me, it wasn't even a good and bad thing. It was about a me versus everybody type thing. And like I didn't trust anybody, even my own understanding, because it was like, who am I? You know what I'm saying? I don't know who I am, but I know what I show y'all.
yeah.
I know what I can put out and stop you from thinking because my words may be quick. I know how to read a room better than most people. I know how to connect people. That's always been something I've been good at. But to do those things in a self-serving manner means that you constantly have to put out a lot of energy. That level of energy output tends to make you feel depleted on
Hmm.
all fronts. And so your
Crash a lot.
confidence is down here. You run really, really fast and then you burn out here.
Hmm.
You're having relationships, or let's say for me, because I'm speaking about myself, I'm having relationships and they're ending very abruptly. Like it's a straight cliff off relationships for me. Um, that was a lot of my life until um, the spiritual awakening pieces started to come in, right? And like working on my shadow work because I learned what shadow work was. Learning that like just like 80% of the universe is dark matter that we know of. 80% of me is probably some dark shit too that needs to get addressed and taken care of. And so,
You light skin, but you still a dark nigga.
yeah, talk about it. And so, what it really boiled down to, y'all, was like this framework here that we're gonna unpack for y'all today. So this is where it started. 70% of what I acquire, I desire. That was a big component for me. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is most of the stuff that was going on around me was some shit that I just wanted. Didn't care why I wanted it. It wasn't necessarily purpose driven. It was just like, oh, something shiny. I can have it. It's mine.
I feel it.
20% of what desires me do I actually see value in. And so there was most of imagine the things that really did care about me. The women I might have been dating, The family members who was really looking out for me was like, that dude just got a lot, and I can't get through to him. 20% of that actually was something that I valued. Because again, I don't trust nothing, which gets to the 10%. 10% of what I value, I trust. I trusted very little things because there wasn't really anything specifically leading me. And that led me to trust my ego. But I'm smart enough to know that shit is dangerous, right? So I was doing it, but I wasn't going to do it in a way that was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. It was like, no, I know eventually this car going to crash, but
you were still in the car. It's sort of one of those things where it's like smart enough to get into trouble, not quite smart enough to get yourself out of it.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that was the major theme of most of it was like, ooh, how do I get out of this? Like I'm stuck in the trouble now.
Oh wow, that's actually perfect. So now, like, leading off of that premise of how do you get out of this, like 80% of the universe, and so by extension us, is dark matter, which means shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of our shadow tendencies manifested themselves as a form of survival, right? Usually based on some type of early life experience. Maybe it's trauma, maybe it's just an adaptation to whatever your environment was.
Yeah.
Which of your early life experiences amplified the narcissism specifically? And as a connector, how did those manifest themselves in the bridges that you built?
God, you're not gonna make this shit easy for me.
Man, look, we in here. We had this call.
Oh man, okay. No. Hey, listen. We gonna be back here next week. We gonna be right back here next week. But yo, Geronimo, what's going on, brother? Peace. We see you. We see you. Thank you for y'all for jumping in as well.
Yeah,
hey, Wagwan, my brethren, come to the table. I'm gonna make this show up. Boom. Thank y'all for coming, man, as always. But the narcissist piece, of course, I'll touch on that one first because it is the most prevalent. I was raised and reared by two very traditionally Western society-based alpha males, right? So when you think of that strong personality, domineering, overpowering, gets what they want because they're more of a bulldozer. Thank you, Denise. Those were the type of men that I was raised by. Now, what I saw them do, right, was very different than what they said to me. And so they told me certain things that didn't match up to what I saw them doing. But I saw nobody fucking with them. I saw them making money. I saw them doing what they wanted to do.
It's like, oh, it works. Ain't nobody telling them no. So
I mean, I couldn't even tell you that I was cognizant of that, right? Like now I can understand, like from a perspective of what that patriarchal or the more patriarchy side of care, right? That felt safe to me, right? That was what, when I looked at like a strong male figure, that's what I had at that time. And so it was the closest thing to me. And so that was a lot of it, right? Like my father and my stepfather, just big personalities. If you know either one of them, like you know Duckworth when you meet Duckworth.
Is an experience.
Oh, Duckworth will roll up in any environment 100% as himself. And not to jump ahead, but like, that's one of the things that I take with me now is like, yo, that's all this man was ever doing was being 100% who he was.
Bro, Duckworth ain't gonna hit you with no flim flam, bro. Like he's gonna Duckworth. He's gonna Duckworth.
Listen, all he got is Duckworth. All he got is Duckworth in his veins. That's it. Ain't no blood pumping in there. It's duck, 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 and duck. But for those who don't know, my father's name is Duckworth Anthony Grange. Shout out, Pops. I love you. The general in charge at a Grange farm. The youngest boy of Monica and Algon Grange. But my daddy, right?
First of his name.
Papa. First of his name. That's what I'm talking about. But no, man, he always had, and my father always had a lot of pride, right? Like he was a very chest up, back straight, Like you're gonna see and understand his importance through his posture.
Tell us Duckworth is Jamaican without saying he's Jamaican.
Yeah, the dig. But then my stepfather, born and raised in Philly, right? Grew up Jehovah's Witness, but was like charismatic out of this world. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those just natural athletic people who, if he wasn't Jehovah's Witness and his parents did let him play sports, he would have been something else. Like his name is William J. Wilson. Pops, I love you. Everybody called him Bo because when he was growing up, everybody compared him to Bo Jackson. Right? Like this is the man where I first met him. He showed up in a 3-piece suit. I was outside balling with my homies, and he was like, y'all doing backflips. He's like, I can do a flip. 3-piece suit, shine shoes. It's like, you can't do no flip. Unbutton the coat, standing back handspring immediately. And we're just like, who is this man? And so those energies were really big. And like I said, they did what they wanted. They got what they wanted. They didn't really take no prisoners. And that formed for me in my middle child seat with nobody to check me, a very, very like tough, narcissistic nature, because it was like, if that's how they did it and they're living well, it's in here. And I don't even know that it's in there. Like, I didn't know that was leading me for years, which kind of leads to the second part of your question. So going from like the narcissist and where it came from. So yeah, that's it.
So now, how did that manifest itself in the bridges that you built as a meta connector? That's essentially what you are. Like,
that's what it happens to. Yeah. I mean, that word for me is still very new. Like, there's so many different words for the ability to make connections, right? Mm-hmm. And every career path you can think of is called something different for a different reason. In addition to the fact that anybody who is proficient in their career, whether you work for yourself or you work for somebody else, the level of connectivity you have is pretty much what determines your growth pattern, right? Mm-hmm. That concept of like, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? For me, that's always been something serious. I think because of coming up with a career in sales, right? That'll do it. And I'm talking, like, when I tell you I was good, like I was good. And I don't mean I was good at selling people stuff. I was the person who was like, I don't like making all these phone calls. I don't like going out and on these meetings. Like, this junk takes too long. Who do these people go to for business? So when I was doing, let's say, small business payroll, it wasn't like, all right, let me just go to every mom and pop shop and sell. It was like, what bank y'all go to? Who's your banker? I wonder if your banker has other clients that don't work with me. Let me go partner with your banker and then have them feed me clients. So I was always looking at making connections, right? Like, how do I connect these things together to put me in a place to do what I really do well, which is make connections, like you're talking about, a meta connector. So that served me through that. And that's kind of how it came as a sales professional, like really being in that hardcore, like I'm outside in the heat in New Orleans in a suit, trucking around pharmaceuticals for a company. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did those things.
Okay, dope, man.
That was a legal drug. And I'm talking straight out of college. Like, some people get out, with a business degree and they go into like a business analyst or something. I was like, no, sales. Let's go get this cake now. It builds a certain dexterity to you. I remember one relationship that I had, this woman would always say, stop trying to sell me. Stop selling me all the time. And it'd just be like, fuck, I don't know if I actually know how to do that.
Okay, keep going. Follow that thread.
I don't want to. But no, those are the places where, like, those are the places where I was the most confronted in life, would probably be in relationships, because I was good at connecting. I was always good at making someone feel safe. Initially, I could draw you in. I can make everything seem like it was going to be exactly what it was supposed to be. And because I'm confident, charismatic, and I'm good with my words, like, you believe the shit that I say. You see what I'm saying? But like, what was behind me, or like what was actually underneath that soil, and providing the nutrients to me to hold up all of that. Wasn't much down there.
Off cliff.
Crash and burn, crash and burn, crash and burn.
I don't know why, but like the Neptune sound when it was like, but
2 out to hold. Ladies love me a long time, like Tupac.
So, all right. So now we're gonna pause you, and we're gonna shout out to the people who are actually watching. So now, like,
hey,
the principles part, right?
Well, true.
Let's make this a
I mean, you know me. Look, it's always the principles for me.
It is. So now, like, before we pivot into that, because we want to lead by example, right? Like, based on those experiences that you had on how to maybe not do that, or at least not do that with the intent that you once did it before. Like, what is one major principle that stuck out the most? First one pops up your head.
Surrender. Surrender's always one to come first, because that's where it all started. And it wasn't a choice. Right. That is the first principle I would say that I gained from a divine perspective. I didn't choose to surrender. I had to surrender. Right. And so, like, in that space, especially over the past 12 to 24 months, I've seen that show up even more as a necessity when, like, everyone had to learn how to surrender in some way. And it was like, whoo, I'm glad I started that shit already. Because at least that piece of the puzzle, like, I knew how to do it. I knew what it took. And I knew that, like, it's one of them things where you don't put your head down and just get through it. Like, you lean back and you bask in it. You literally have to learn how to enjoy it. Because if you can't enjoy it, the anxiety that can come with that level of unknown, like, that, it can tear you apart.
Yes.
So that's it. That was mine. Good audience, good people. Over the past 12 to 24 months, what principle have you noticed that has shown up most in your life? It could be on any topic and anything. And while y'all thinking of it, I will pass that right back to you, good brother. In your life and what you've seen, what was the first principle that you can remember showing up?
The first one for me showing up is,
yeah.
Because on one hand, it's like, all right, surrender made itself, like, painfully obvious, only because for me, like, surrender initially just did not sit well with my spirit. Like, my initial principle was a man is only as good as his word and his deed. Because my model was predicated upon the principle of, like, your credit, your A1-ness, your legitimacy was based on how many people call on you when things go left. So you pride yourself on being a problem solver. Now, there's nothing wrong with being able to solve a problem. There's definitely nothing wrong with being proficient at solving them. However, when you brand yourself as being a problem solver, what happens? People bring you problems to solve.
You did.
So that definitely led to like the foundation being set for, like, being the perfect stand-in for anybody who was looking for somebody with a Superman complex, because then, like, it was easy for me to gain validation that way.
Quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that word gonna get around fast. You know?
Don't fix it. Bring me your broken
what?
stuff.
You said you got something that needs saving? Well, you know, JD over here is super Negro. He's ready to go at the drop of a dime.
Hop in my Hyundai.
Oh man. Oh man, but thank y'all for jumping in with your own. So I see these coming through. Oh, my brother Antoine, what's going on? This one I like. Trusting, going within and trusting my own navigation in the process rather than seeking answers outside of my higher self.
Listen.
You better talk about it. And it's funny because in, like, you know, the normal social media posting that we'll do to get prepared for an episode today, I was really, really tapped into my Ori. because I wanted to like be able to come from my full self and
Yeah.
not like just speak from the heart, because that emotional space, as we talked about all the time on this show, it can be unsafe. And like this isn't the platform for me to just come and dump
Fundamentally
because of
unsafe.
my time. That's right. But to also be too logical is to lack the empathy necessary to like actually speak and give your story in a way that connects with people. So the Ori was the main piece for me. And for those that are not familiar, in the Yoruba tradition of West Africa, and if you want to know more about that, hop back to the episode with us and Chantrell Pete Lewis, because we went in on that one.
Can he?
In the Yoruba tradition, the Ori is how you access consciousness, the understanding of consciousness, right? Consciousness being the connection between your logic and your emotions, right? So it is the space of supreme balance within yourself
Mhm.
that's truly your divinity. So to Antoine, your point, like tapping into your own navigation is tapping into your Ori. So thank you for bringing that to the table, bro. Cynthia, being
Being
open
open
to
to love.
love and relationships. Whew. Mm. You know that the open, it's the open for me because like how open we talking? We talking like door cracked open, I can still protect myself type open? Or we talking like, you know, this is all of my insecurities and all the shit that makes me feel bad. I want you to see it, love it, take care of it, and not fuck with it type love. You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, there's or option C, like being open but with healthy boundaries so that people can see
Mm,
where
to that point.
the isms are, but also you
Fully
can
open.
have some level of barrier protection around them.
True
Fully
story.
open. Oh, 100. That part.
Fully. Oh, hold on. My man Geronimo came in. I love to see it. There's a brother's talking about surrender. I always love to see it.
Well, because that's the hardest one for us. You know what I mean? Like that's
Talk about
usually
it.
a whole bunch of stuff has to go not according to plan, and you either accept the surrender or you get pulled apart. Let go or get
Mm.
dragged, fam.
It's funny that you might say that because the flip on the 70-20-10 framework for me was my perception of relationships. And all of that came after the hard body surrender. So, like
Mm,
in my years pre self work, I looked at relationships as if they were in service to me, right? Because I'm the meta connector. So these things are here to serve me, right? I'm making this connection to make this job easier. I'm not making this connection because it means something to me. And so the talent of being good at making those connections wasn't connected to what actually was purposeful or important to me.
got
Now,
you.
post the deep work of self, I look at myself as if I am of service to all my relationships. So the only thing that I'm selfish about in terms of like that self, what do we say? What was the word? Not self-centered,
Self-considerate.
self-considerate is that the only thing that I'm doing is making sure that I got enough energy in the tank. Once I've done that, it's time to let it all out, right? Like it's a straight money in, money out mindset when it comes to my energetic in that regard. And that's kind of how things change, right? That's what got me to where we are now.
Well, before we carry on, because you
Mhm.
gave me a real that was almost another cliffhanger. See, I feel like we need to close that loop. You
Dun,
mentioned the
dun,
money in, money out.
dun.
Giving is
Mm.
the money out. How do you get that money back in? How do you fill that tank?
Because now I know what's leading me. And so I don't need to go to any external source to fill my tank because I go to my higher source. Like everything that's coming into my Ori, because my Ori knows how to tap into the energetics that are above me, whether it's my ancestors, for me, my Orisha, or
Hmm.
Rumila, for me, who was the top point, or even just the natural energetic of the fourth and fifth consciousness, right? Like moving from, like we talked about in a couple episodes before with Tantra, this level of consciousness being polarity, yes
Hmm.
and no, light and dark. You know, we embrace option C,
Relativity.
which that's it. We embrace option C, which is inherently about the consciousness of the next dimension above, which is the fourth dimension, which is all about connectivity. It ain't about life and death. It's the connection between life and death.
Hmm.
And so that for me is like, that's like the Tesla for this shit. I don't need no gas. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm coming from a different power source. So my energetic output is also different now. You see what I'm saying? The feeling that we get from other people can only fill up the battery but so much because that only has a certain BTUs or wattage of power. That joint above us, when you really do tap into it, it's literally some Super Saiyan shit. What's up, Koya?
And beyond that, like speaking of, you got to the fourth and then you get to the fifth. So beyond connectivity is oneness.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is no separation. Like as you empty, you automatically fill.
There is no spoon.
It's because that's the flow. Like
Ain't nothing there.
It's perfect balance. Like it just goes.
That's right.
But we got way too deep on that. So anyway,
yeah. I mean, it's our episode. It's what we go do.
Hey, listen, y'all showed up. Y'all knew what it was. We're on episode 7 by now.
This is who I am. Like if I'm gonna do anything,
8. Exactly. So we there. This is what it is.
This is episode 8. Damn, it's been a good season.
You getting old, bro.
Chat, talk about it, Omar. We appreciate you, bro.
Tabernacle. All right.
So back up on this 70-20-10 piece, right? Because it did transition from like it didn't just become the construct that held me back. Because again, like this is who I am. I operate under this principle of 70-20-10. My universe is separated in that construct for a reason. And after surrendering and trying to not necessarily change it, but crazy enough, there's a very specific set of like what I call, what are called Kairos moments, right? Yeah. Instead of Chronos time, you're talking about Kairos time, meaning divine moment to divine moment to divine moment. Which and anybody who's been,
it's a constant sequence of nows, by the way. There's no past.
That's it. Future. There's no future.
Yeah, it's all now.
Which anybody who's been in that dark place, like you've been deeply depressed, you've been like at your bottom, every day feels like the same day. So only certain moments even are in your psyche at that point because everything feels like it's on loop. And so when I got to like my bottom of self, from a community perspective, I had my son, I had my best friend since the 10th grade, and I had just met this brother right here. I just met JD. And so for me, what happened from there was like this just cosmic aspect of events that took place where it was like, I started to be introduced to more and more people, right? Mainly through Mastermind Connect. And it was just like, whoa, like this is all of the stuff I used to fight to grab for myself. I used to go out and make the connections to get this for myself. And it's like, this is all just here now, like literally like here. And so I started to, even from first conversations, like the first time, we got up with our good brother Janelle at his spot.
At the grotto.
At the grotto. The first conversation that him and I had was like exactly what I needed in that moment. Yeah. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to doing that for people, but I was never used to receiving it. So the surrender allowed a space in me to be open to actually receive what people were now giving me. And so shit flipped. All the love in there were but completely unavailable. Receive. We don't do that. That was my mindset. Because for things to get in meant that things would have impact. I couldn't afford that. That's volatile to the system. But things
Why not?
Because I was narcissistic. I was ego driven.
That's too much
the
exposure.
We know the ego's only job is to protect us. It only has one weapon, one tool to do it, our emotions. So if I let somebody else in here, that means something else can play with my emotions. Ego's like, fuck that. I need control, complete control. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Who's next? So this is how it flipped, y'all. It became a totally different construct for me when it went down to my 70-20-10 over the past 4 years. First and foremost, it moved into 70% of my tribe are people I aspire to be like in some way. I immediately saw value in everyone that was around me. Whether that value was, this man's been married for 30 years, so I can learn something. This woman had a child with me, so there's always something I can learn from her. This person is my child. So this is my master teacher. This man I've known for 6 minutes in a Busboys and Poets, but I feel like this my brother. All of that showed up. And I didn't ask for it, but I had done the surrender, and all of it was now just given to me. Available to me.
Correction.
Available to me.
You manifested it. You asked for it.
You call it to you from the universe. Yes. It's back to that point, we attract that which we most reflect. Mm-hmm. I was reflecting surrender, so I attracted things that helped me stay in a space to accept that. Next up on the mic, 20% of my tribe shares my inspirations, meaning these same people, right? Because for me, my 70-20-10 is the breakdown of my community, but it's also the breakdown of what is necessary within my community across the board. So every person in my community is in my 70. Every person in my community is in my 20. And last but not least, every person in my community is in my 10. 10% of what inspires me, I am in service to. The difference now was that it was just all in different forms within the same people. So when I first met JD, for example, I was inspired by his level of freedom of self. Like from jump, it was like, there's a soul here that shows up first. Well, that's different. We immediately connected in terms of like, we're in the same race, so to speak, right? Like we're not elders, but we ain't kids no more. And we took that seriously. So that 20% was in there. But then we're in a different age bracket, right? There are things that I've done that he hasn't done. And it was like, I want to support him. I want to serve my brother in that way. Omar, what you got?
Oh, my bad. I'm putting
back. I'm going to try to read that joint for you. Yeah, yo, honestly, that's definitely what it is, especially with Mastermind Connect, brothers. 70% of them is who I look up to and aspire to be as well, as in my own way. That's it. And so it was, I found it in everybody. My son, obviously raising a child, like there's a large percentage of myself that I want to make sure he understands. But because of what I went through and experienced growing up, that I didn't have the agency to the tools. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know that what they showed me was so important. I just kind of embodied it. I reformed a narcissist. You need to be on a bigger platform. Listen, we taking it there where we can get it there.
I mean, if you want help,
I'll tell you this right now, man. Like, you want to have a conversation, a true conversation about narcissism, like we can get into it. Simply because I've seen it on both sides of the equation. Because the narcissist is no more responsible for shit than the victim, if you want to keep it 100. Because eventually, at every single point,
conversation.
I had to have it. So that means everybody gonna have to get ready at some point if you want me to talk about it. Because at some point, everybody's making a choice. The victim may not have chosen to be a victim, but if they continue to stay in that space, that's their choice. The narcissist may not even have meant to be a narcissist. That wasn't my goal. But when I got into that seat, I had to make the choice to continue to go along that path, or say, no, I'm gonna sit my ass down. I'm gonna take all of this away from me. I'm gonna let all of this be taken away from me. And I'm just gonna see what comes next. And I'll let it be. Right? Like one of my favorite songs. And I don't even remember where I first heard it, but it's just the lyrics basically go, let it be, let it be. And if that's not enough, I hope you take a piece of me. I hope you get the piece you need. And that's really what it is for me. It's like, listen, I'll just let it be. And I hope you get the pieces of me that y'all need, right? And if that's not enough, I'll let you go peacefully. But that's all I can do all the way around.
Oh, the Paul McCartney joke.
No. It better not be. No, hold on. We're going to do this now because we can.
No, hold on.
Nah, it's about Lady Ray.
Lady Ray, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna just play it so we can hear it.
My darkest days, what must have turned around? I ask myself, still think fast.
that's the song. If you want to catch it, I'll post it somewhere on my social media this week so you can see it. But the chorus to this joint, man, for someone who has been through being a narcissist, who surrendered and had to be victimized to my own doing, and then came out on the other side to understand like full self-service, full self-reliance, but also the beauty and importance of interdependence.
Thank you.
For me, that's it.
And so, and that's the funny thing, right? Back to that.
You know what it is. Yes, somebody knows the jam.
Karaya know the vibes, man. I've been peeping her on the book faces. She been dropping gems.
And look, of course. See, that's my people's. I knew. Yep, there we go.
But what I was gonna say, like, yeah, as you do, such as done, right? Back one way or another, these bills are gonna get paid, man. Every choice has a button.
It ain't just a t-shirt, yo.
It's a lifestyle. So, all right, let's go ahead to this infographic. Can we pull up that hero's journey, please?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this part.
Yeah, now let's get to the good. So I love this so much because, it shows the process of growth that many of us go through. So you have the beginning, you got the call to adventure, right? And then you don't realize that, or until you get into it, that most of the journey is in that unknown space. Like you hit the threshold, and I know for me, I felt like when I hit mine, like, oh, okay, cool, like I'm done. Only to realize, like, nah, son, you just getting started. Like, the real journey doesn't really get like crazy until you hit the abyss part. And that's really where the revelation comes, because that is your opportunity to let go or get dragged. But along that way, you get guides, you get helpers, you get messages, right? And based on your willingness to heed those messages, that dictates how long you spend in that abyss place. Some of us never get out of there. At a certain point, you chose to listen. Well, I mean, the beautiful part about the universe is like, it's so gracious. It gives us as many opportunities as we need until we remember what the actual like lesson in this situation is. If you decide that you need a lesson. So now that
which all of us did, because that's how we got here. If you want to get deep with it, right? Like we chose our path when we came here. So there's a lesson.
Say that
part of this life. We chose our path when we came here, regardless of what construct you put it into, whether it's a higher power in your spirit, whether it's I am the center of my universe. Well, that means you choosing it every single day. And it's just a little more complicated for you because your shit might tangle and twist, but my shit stays pretty functional, right? Because it's something other than me making me do this. Trust me. And I tell people all the time, like, if it were not for very specific things, y'all wouldn't see me. If I didn't have a Jameson, I'd be on a mountain in Tibet somewhere. Like, bye. I'm not dealing with this three-dimensional Western societal white supremacist shit. I'm out of here. But I'm here.
You stay in Tibet for too long. Like, I don't know. I mean, they might have some good organic oxtails.
We keep it 100. It wouldn't be Tibet, but I'm not telling y'all where I'm really gonna go. Like, fuck. Come on,
play. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna mind my business.
Thank you. I'm leaving to be gone. You try to come back. Oh man.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Nah, Cynthia, you came through with the whammies. Boom. That's it. We do. We tend to get in our own way.
That's true. Yes, Denise. Very much so. Organic oxtail.
Only the finest.
Oh man.
But yeah, so in your hero's journey of growth into a divine masculine, right? When did you first get your call, and how obedient were you in embracing it?
I'm a hard-headed Aries, yo. It wasn't one call.
You could have just said Aries.
Some of us ain't hard headed. Some of us are pig headed, but like I'm hard headed. Meaning it's not just like I'm opinionated. I really will go through a wall for what I believe in. But it wasn't just one call. In 2006, I got introduced to the Yoruba tradition, right? I got introduced to all of this stuff in this culture way back then.
Yeah, you started
2008,
right?
Actually, I started both. So the first time I received my leke, my godmother was in Lukumi, right? She was a old black lady in Carroll City, but banged with all the Cubans.
Down in Oshun's Grove.
Listen, out here talking about, baby, I don't know no Spanish, but these Cubans, they rock with me. And I was like, okay, I see you, Iya. But her husband was an Ifa, it was a Babalawo, an Ifa priest in Nigeria. So the Ile in itself was already coming together it was a bridging, right? It was a meta connector of sorts. So even how I was personally introduced to the tradition was about bringing it together. It was never about this, that, this thing. For me, it was always about harmony. And that was 2008. Yeah, 2017 was when I initiated to Ogun and Lukumi. And so like that piece of the puzzle got put in there. I had a couple of other initiations and other traditions at the same time frame. So like there was some other stuff swirling around in me. I had a child in 2015. I got engaged. Let me be clear. I got engaged. I got married. I had a child. And I got divorced all within 3 years. I got engaged, got married, and had a child within 18 months. So like I was constantly sending to the universe like these smoke signals of like, he's looking for some lessons. He's ready to figure some shit out. He doesn't know it. Yeah, he needs some work. And it just kept coming. From the flip side, when I started to surrender, that's probably when it started to actually be clear to me what was going on or what I had already set myself up for, so to speak. And it was because of this one specific question that I had to answer, which was when all else falls away, what will you cling to? When all else falls away, what you gonna cling to? Because you're not dead, right? You're not destitute. You're just here, and that's all you got. So what you gonna hold on to? And the true answer was like, I don't know. I don't have anything to hold on to. And in that surrender, the truth, right? The truth of like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do other than at this moment, just like be like, whatever, like bring it. And the pieces started to come, right? Opportunities showed up. Saviors showed up. Recognition, like reformatting of my cognition showed up. And it was just like, oh shit. One day I can tell you specifically, June 24th, 2018. That's my ultra birthday. I woke up. I literally sat up in the bed and something inside of my head, y'all, like I'm not joking. Something said, cool. It's what we've been doing. We got it now. And I was like, who's we? And it said, yeah. And it was just like, all right. I mean, this is kind of scary, but it's inside. So like the shit's here. You know what I'm saying? It's already in here. So I got to just take it. But that day forward. So like if I were to pinpoint kind of the amalgamation of the moments forward and backwards in time into like the Kairos moment was June 24th, 2017. That morning I woke up and I heard my voice for the first time. I heard my will. I heard my consciousness. I heard my divine self talk to me and say, I got this shit now. Yeah. Chirani Mo. Not my first, but my loudest call was in 2017, funny enough. I reconnected today with the first Babalawa I spoke with in 2017. Plenty of crazy spiritual experiences in between then and now. Listen. When you start to put the pieces to the puzzle together, that Rashid album, One Day It All Makes Sense. It really starts to make sense.
It really does. Okay, so we 10 minutes out. We're definitely not gonna get through all of these, so I'm gonna pick and choose a bit. Ooh, I like this. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, let's go straight to the dark. All right. What was the most trying stretch of your journey, and what revelations came as a result of passing through your own personal abyss?
Ooh, what was the most trying stretch on the journey?
Mm-hmm.
Divorce. By leaps and bounds, divorce was the most trying thing ever. Ever. It tested everything about me. And not because of the fact that I was at odds with another person. To have differences of opinion after all that we had gone through, all that I had put her through. Like, of course, it would be ignorant of me to think that we wouldn't have differences of opinion. But the fact that we had to surrender our differences of opinions to a justice system that didn't give a shit about our opinion, didn't give a shit about how we felt, and didn't give a shit about our child. It gave a shit about what was a fact based on the letter of the law and who was better suited to make that case.
Legal.
And so there were parts of
moral. They are not the same.
Listen, I don't wish divorce upon anyone. As necessary as I know it can be in some situations, I don't wish it on nobody. And I don't wish anyone has to go through divorce where they have a deep difference of opinion, because the court is going to rip you apart. Or you're going to rip each other apart in the process of trying to rip the court apart. That's how it's designed. I remember the court experience itself for me wasn't that traumatic. Like, our shit was in and out pretty quickly. But sitting in and listening to the other cases, seeing this man come in with like stacks of documents and this one little woman by herself, and him doing everything in his power to use the legal system to like make this woman look bad. And then her responses were things like, Your Honor, I left in the middle of the night and took our child because he was beating me. She didn't say much, but he had prepared, like he thought he was really going to be able to win. And it, like, I remember that case went to recess. Like, they didn't even get a decision. And it was like, yo, this is wild. Or seeing two people that, you know what I'm saying, had like, you could tell they have very little formal education. And so just in terms of how they were communicating to the judge, like the whole time I was in that room, very thankful that this was a judge who actually took their job seriously. Like he very much was like, I don't want to be the one to make these decisions. I'm going to put as much of this on y'all to figure out. You hire these lawyers for a reason. Y'all figure this shit out and come back to me when you're ready. And that's literally what happened in my situation. Like when we got to our small, because they weren't huge, when we got to our small impasses, the judge was like, no, we're not doing this. Y'all take a sidebar, go out for 30 minutes. You stand on opposite sides of the room. Lawyers, y'all go back and forth and talk to one another until you figure it out. Come back in when you're ready. And it was just like, wow. To see all these other things happen before me and then to see my situation go that way was like, pay attention. The shit could have been different for you. Shit could have been much worse. That shit was scary as hell. Absolutely.
Okay. We actually good. We might could get all these in. All right, but so
that's right.
What forms of aid came to you upon beginning your journey? Whether it be mentors, guardians, whatever.
Man. Mastermind Connect was an 8. Really and truly. The brothers from JD to Manny to everyone around, you know. Oh shit. We're gonna let that breathe for Cynthia real quick.
Yeah, no.
My toughest was my rape in the military. Damn.
That's a whole reality that does not get discussed nearly as much as it should.
Bruh.
I have a little cousin purely based off of this same dynamic.
Talk about it. And I've heard about several of those. Like some of the that's why I'm here stories were like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much this is how it went down. Or to your point as well, like, okay, Cynthia said she will gladly discuss it. Is Cynthia in the group, in the Facebook group?
Yeah, no. Cynthia in the group. Cynthia in the group.
Cynthia, please bring that one to the Facebook group so we can all tap in. Like this platform right here, our voices ain't enough to handle that. We need everybody's support for that one.
Yeah, no, yeah, you need to get lifted on that. So first and foremost, thank you for bearing that.
Absolutely.
And we will make sure that we lift you up and keep you centered in the way that you deserve to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we'll make some space for that. We'll make a lot of space for that. Don't even trip.
Most definitely.
And it's on film, so it has to happen.
I know, right? We committed to it.
All right. So yeah.
But yeah, Mastermind Connect was one. Getting more in touch with my shrines, right? This tradition that I practice comes with a lot of support systems and mechanisms and aids. I put them things to work. I got down on the ground. I put my face on the ground. I prayed. I learned. I studied. I sacrificed, literally and figuratively, to activate the energy that's in that comes with these shrines. Because, like one of my elders always loves to say, ain't nothing in that pot. Nothing's in those pots. Everything's in here. We call it into the pot so that there's a space for us to do what we need it to do. But that means everything's in here. So the more you speak, that's it. The more you speak life into things, whatever that thing is, the more that thing is going to give life back to you. So that was another one. My son, without a doubt, like to see his and y'all, if any of y'all that know my child or you've seen him, like his light.
I love that kid.
He's such an undeniable light. And for me to go through everything that I was going through and to know that like my child's heart is still happy, you know, there's gonna be stuff where he's gonna be like, Dad, such and such and such and such one day. And I'm gonna be like, fuck, I'm sorry. I didn't know. But in this moment, in this time, like I can feel the depth of love my son has for everything in his life. And I'm thankful that like what I went through didn't tear that apart too much.
All right. And I mean, you kind of answered it, but I know there's a bit more. So I'm going to ask this question. What would you say have been your biggest gifts as a result of completing this journey?
Blind spot identification. I can see in front of me and back of me. I got eyes in the back of my head for real, for real. Bridge building, understanding how to see two people and they see just me. I see them together, even if they're not in the same room. I'll have conversations with one person and then with another person. And that ability to not just see like, oh yeah, these people need to meet, but like, no, there's something y'all are supposed to do together. I take that very seriously. So that was another gift. And then patience. Surrender teaches you patience. If you feel that you are impatient, if you're like, oh, I struggle with patience, surrender to some shit. You'll get patient real quick. And then you'll learn to love it.
Hey, chill, You're doing too much.
That's what I'm here for. Patience will come up really quick. And it really has become something that now, like where I'm at now, the things that I have to process and shoulder and figure out now, if it had not been for patience on my side, these conversations will go totally different.
Sando. But God.
Come on with it, man. External and internal, but God, with all of this stuff, for real, for real.
God, it's Liddy, man. Okay,
so I gotta bring it just because she.
I'm about to say, yeah, let these breathe. These comments been going crazy.
Mastermind Connect is super dope and has been super helpful to me personally, although it's a men's collective group. Y'all helped me heal my battle of almost hating Black men and appreciate y'all. Love and appreciate y'all. You better talk about it, Dominican Denise. We love you.
We really do. Denise is one of my favorite people.
Bigly.
I ain't gonna hold you. All right. So
we
what are you
finished or
doing
we
now?
done?
How do we support you?
So now is kind of where the journey really begins. As I step into not just being able to tell this story, but like curate and provide space for others like me. The biggest thing that I learned through all of this that I really needed to know that I was not aware of was that I was a highly sensitive person, right? 20% of the population is roughly highly sensitive, meaning that we experience this world in a different way where we might be more anxious about things. We might deal with having to manage our energy more than other people. We might walk into a room and immediately feel depleted because something in here just doesn't make us feel right. Male, female, whatever, highly sensitive. The other 80% of the world is not. And so they exist in a space where most of what happens to us in the world makes them hypersensitive. And so I exist now in a space and call to the space all the highly sensitive people. If you consider yourself to be highly sensitive, if you want to know more about what it means, if you need support on figuring out your journey because like shit just ain't moving the way you think it's supposed to be moving and the shit feels rough, like let's talk. I am Courtney Grange on every single platform. Holler at me, talk to me, work with me. Let's build community together. Let's heal together. Let's grow some together, and let's do some big shit together because we're supposed to. And for no other reason. My job is not here to be a guru. I'm not here to try to be anything other than I am, but I am somebody who's going through some shit, can tell you about how to go through shit, and help you build certain mechanisms along the way. So come holler at me. Let's talk about it. Let's build some shit together.
And there you have it.
That is my TED Talk.
Go ahead, drop that mic, bro.
I mean, I would, but this is an expensive piece of equipment right here. I'm not going to drop this mic.
You got it. You can get another one. Quit tripping. Go ahead, release that so you can get blessed with another one. Anyway.
Yeah. So to sum it up, I'm now helping other people initiate themselves daily. Getting into that space where like you are able to master yourself because your resources, your accountability to yourself, and your ability to understand how to manage your own energy puts you in the seat of your purpose and your own consciousness. So that's what I'm doing.
And how can people follow that? Like, is there a
you can holler at me,
place, or is it gonna be socials?
It's gonna be in the ethers, y'all. You're just gonna have to look for it and find it. But no, literally reach out to me. So Courtney Grange is everything for me. You can go to CourtneyGrange.com and see how to get in touch with me, what I'm working on. There's always a website, B. Of course, there's a website. And I was actually reluctant to build a website. I had a part of me that was like, I want to do this shit with no digital. Like, I wonder if it's still possible. Because it's like, I wonder if it's still possible.
It is.
And I've seen it is, yeah. So while there is a website, and that's just like to my good sister's point, like go ahead or go, like there will be some technology involved in all that I do. But while there are those things, you don't look for those things. Don't look for those things to be the place that tells you what I'm doing. We actually got to connect. We got to tap in. We got to make things move, put our hands on some clay, and build some mother freaking pots. All right.
With that being said, we want to get into these resource recaps. We got any more images we got to spray, or we going to go ahead and close this out?
We got what we needed. We got to go to the end as we begin. So as always, appreciate y'all for coming through. Thank y'all for coming to another episode of the Divine Masculine Activated. Please like, subscribe, share this joint, put this out to people so that they can understand these types of conversations are happening amongst Black men. We do talk about this shit, and we want to do more of it. That's what we here for. Let's see what we kicking it to. Gratitude, attitude, and latitude.
Let's say you already know, like we always do right about this time, man.
Appreciate
you. Exactly. So, gratitude. Huge thanks to Mr. Grange for exposing himself on tonight's platform, because you know I was gonna come with them questions. We don't duck no phase over here on this side. You know how it goes. Don't let the big words fool you. We're gonna get into it. The introduction is always from the show. Attitude. Initiate yourself daily.
Ta-da. Y'all will find me say that very, very often. You are the captain of your fate. You are the master of your own soul. Life is going to initiate you already. So you might as well take that joint by the reins and initiate yourself daily. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate you and I love you. And last but not least, this coming straight from the horse's mouth. What you are is only everything that you know. So who are you? Something for y'all to think about as you move into your latitude for this week.
But as you get revelations on that, go ahead and bring them to the group, because that's what it's for. Divine Masculine Activated by Mastermind Connect on the Book of Faces. Or if we type like that, y'all can just I don't want to say slide in the DM. I don't even want to open the door for that type of energy. It's already coming. We ain't got time. Hit us up directly if we that cool. Anything else you want to say before we close out, y'all?
Fellas, like JD said, it's summer 2021, man. Have y'all thighs out. Put them shorts on.
Don't skip leg day, fool. It's real.
But don't skip leg day, because if you outside with the chicken legs,
you getting clowned on. I'm gonna let you know right now. This does not include calves.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't include calves. This is thigh muscle. Hold on. I gotta put it up. All right, boom. Short sets.
Off
top. Candy
is real about these short sets.
Listen, I'm not mad. I support that. All right, listen. All of y'all who decided to tap in, we are ever grateful for your energy, for your attention, for your intention, and for your time. And so, definitely from the bottom of both our hearts, catch us same time next week. And y'all will get to see this same show reenacted. And now we'll be on the other side.
So, just so y'all know, and y'all can be prepared for everybody who's still with us, next week we put the good brother JD into the hot seat for his episode, and I get to ask him questions.
You know how it goes.
So see y'all next week. Peace.